welcome back to my channel. In my last writing advice video, I gave general tips and tricks for anyone trying to creatively write short fiction. Today, I'm going to do the same thing, but for creative nonfiction. A lot of the advice I gave in my fiction video also applies to nonfiction, well, creative nonfiction, since those two are pretty much written the same way, except that fiction is fabricated and nonfiction is based on true facts and events. Just to be clear, a research paper or business report or anything like that is not considered creative nonfiction. Creative nonfiction generally falls into three categories: biography and autobiography, memoir, and personal essay. I'll probably make a separate video breaking down each of these. But today, I'm just going to share my advice for writing any of them. And before we forget, please subscribe, because the more people that subscribe, the sooner I can start my subscriber creative writing contest, for which there will be giveaways of things you will really want. So with that out of the way, let's get started.
This is pretty much the golden rule of nonfiction writing, but it's not as easy as it sounds. When writing a memoir, for example, it's really tempting to make twists and turns to what really happened, either to spare someone's feelings or because you're too embarrassed to admit to a mistake you've made. It may sound harsh, but if you can't bring yourself to be brutally honest and own up to your shame and humiliation, then you're not ready to write a memoir yet. But if you really put your mind to it, then you'll eventually get to the point where you are ready for that. After all, it's not like running away from the truth is going to do you any good, so you might as well mine for it, even if for no reason but to make your memoir more authentic. And even though, like I said, a research essay isn't considered nonfiction, it usually doesn't hurt to do some background research before writing a personal essay. Say, for example, you're writing a biography of your grandfather who fought in World War II. Inevitably, you're going to need to bring up important dates, figures, and other background facts about the war. If you get even one wrong, it's going to distort the story you're trying to tell about your war veteran grandfather, and you will embarrass yourself. At the end of the day, being too cowardly or lazy to make your nonfiction piece 100% accurate does a huge disservice both to yourself and your readers. Everyone knows you can't write an essay without knowing what you want said essay to be about, and a memoir is no exception. A memoir is not an autobiography meant to chronicle your life and every detail of it from beginning to end. A memoir should be a personal account of either a specific chapter or experience of the author's life, or their life in terms of a particular theme. Want to write a memoir but can't think of a specific part or theme to write it about? Think of the biggest turning points in your life and either write about one of those specific times in your life or find something they all have in common, and that'll be your memoir's theme. And even in the case of a personal essay that isn't about your life in particular, it's very important that you find yourself writing said essay about a subject you're interested in and or is important to you. If you don't, you'll have a really bad time writing it, and it's not going to come out very well. I know I've already said it, but creative nonfiction is not the same thing as a research paper or essay, where, at least as I was advised in middle school English class, you leave your own thoughts and opinions out of it for the sake of being objective. When writing a memoir or autobiography, you're telling your story the way you experienced it. If you're writing a personal essay or biography, you're telling that story from your perspective, and you want the wording to sound like such. Tell the story you're trying to tell in a way that no one else would or could, because there's really no point otherwise. In fact, I'm about to get to another tip on how you can do this better. Remember how I said in my last writing advice video that a good work of fiction involves action on the part of characters, which in turn creates enjoyable tension? The same applies to creative nonfiction. So if you're writing a memoir or travel essay, don't just write in the passive voice what happened to you or what the people or things around you did. Write in the active voice about what you did, what you contributed to the world around you, what you saw, heard, felt, smelled, tasted, and just generally experienced. Even if you're talking about what someone or something else was doing, your memoir ultimately comes back to how you perceive it. Here's where I'm really about to harp on the definition of creative nonfiction. I may sound like a broken record at this point, but this is not a speech or a master's thesis. At its most simple, creative nonfiction is a work of literature based on true fact. So, when you're writing creative nonfiction, just use literary devices that you would find in fictional works, such as similes, metaphors, figurative language, synecdoche, personification, subtext, and others to enhance your telling of this true story. Speaking of which, look out for future videos I'm going to make about each of these literary devices. Like I mentioned in the first section, you don't really want to even start writing, let alone publish a memoir or personal essay until you're really ready to make yourself vulnerable by putting all that information out there. To be ready to publish your memoir or personal essay is to be ready for people you know to read it, even if reading it is how they learn something about you that you've kept a secret from them for a really long time. For every person in your life who plays a role in your memoir, it's not a bad idea to ask them if it's okay to include them and their name in your writing. Even with that, you might even want to do what a lot of CNF writers do in this situation, which is they give those people a different name in order to protect their privacy. They may be able to see past this and they might still get mad at you for it, but that's the point I'm trying to make, that you need to be ready for this before you pursue this project. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I hope you all enjoyed it or learned a little something about it. And I really hope that those of you who came to me looking for advice on writing a memoir, autobiography, or biography, or personal essay found this helpful and got something out of it. And if you haven't already, remember to please subscribe to get more videos like this. And of course, the more subscribers I get, the sooner I can get around to starting to have creative writing contests on my channel for my subscribers, for which there will be giveaways for stuff I think you'll really want. So yeah, please do that, and I will see you next time.